Hello, dear perceptive souls. This is Bevin Niemann. I am a life purpose coach for intuitive empaths, mystics, and lightworkers. And I'm also the co-founder of 1millionempaths.com, which is an online sanctuary for deep thinkers with huge hearts who care so much about the future of our planet. And we're in there connecting, meeting our tribe, and mastering our gifts, and making a difference in the world. So you can get any of that information in the description box below. And today for this collective energy reading, what I really sensed into and the theme that sort of permeated everything was the unearthing of secrecy. It's like the speaking out of voices, right? Voices which had not been heard, whether those were people who were oppressed. I saw that there were multiple police officers who'd worked within a police force for many years, and they were speaking out about the insider view of that perspective. People who are within governments who left the position and now they're speaking out about what happened and what was going on there. So it's just this unearthing process, right? All of these things which had been really secretive and hidden underneath, coming to fruition and coming up to the surface, to be examined, to be debated, to be discussed, to be out in the public purview. And while these things are really uncomfortable, it's so important for us to go through this unearthing process, this really deep release. You know, we just finished the lunar eclipse, and anytime we go into that lunar eclipse, you know, this sort of emotional, deeply emotional side really comes into play. Like some part of that moon is obscured, right, by the shadow of the earth. And now what we're finding is that all of these things which had been hidden emotionally are now resurfacing, and they're out there for us to look at. And this is a time when it's important for us to continue to unearth and continue to speak about what's happening, continue to highlight and open up and put a spotlight on those things in our world which are inequitable. So I'm going to work with 3 decks today. And the first one is the Mystic Medicine Oracle, Mystic Medicine Art Oracle deck, which is a new deck for me. It's kind of large, really beautiful imagery in here. We'll start with that one. And then we'll go into the Isis Oracle, which is a new deck, and I'm really learning this new symbology. It's beautiful. Lots of mythology from ancient Egypt, and just really diving into that deep and powerful feminine. And then we have the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck by Alberto Viodo, who is a well-renowned shaman and teacher. So let's begin, and let's just come into this space together as we ask the Holy Ones to provide us with any information that we need to know about all of this that's being revealed right now, this releasing of secrecy. Okay, I just dropped all the way down on the floor. Let me grab it here. All right, very interesting, very interesting. What else, Holy Ones, do we need to know about these revealings, these secrecies that are no longer being held underneath? Thank you. And one more card, please. One more message for the secrecy, these revealings that are happening all over our world. And corporations and government systems, all of our systems and structures. Okay. Interesting. So the first thing, I'm going to take this card first, even though it came out second, is perception. Right? And we got this card recently. This has come up as a repetitive energy. And really, you know, if you can see, there's an elder, you know, standing here and looking out into the universe, right? Looking at all of the stars, all of the constellations, and working to make some kind of pattern. So this is what our ancient ancestors would have done. I say that the night sky was sort of like their TV. They didn't have, you know, the latest sitcom or drama. So this is what they watched, right? They watched the universe. They watched it change and shift throughout the night and throughout the seasons, and noticed, you know, what was intersecting with what. And this person is really just staring out into that darkness, right? Which really feels like what's happening right now. We're staring out into the darkness, and there's all these different pieces and parts to the puzzle. We're trying to make some kind of picture out of all of that. And some of the pictures that we make are a little bit disturbing, right? And there's everything. There's, conspiracy theories in multiple different layers. There are insider information. There's people fact checking on top of people fact checking on top of people fact checking, and what this is like, here's all the layers. There's one buffalo here and another buffalo here. And here's, desire for peace. And then there's some symbolism here, the 4 directions, and there's just all of this stuff going on. This eye emerging here. It's really like the all-seeing eye, right? It's like, looking and perceiving and trying to gather this information, and just to be a person who's out there scrolling around on social media right now is really confusing, to understand. Like, I think we had this idea that there was truth, right? There was like the truth. And when I was a child, I'm sort of dating myself here, the truth used to be like, here's the evening news. And of course they've fact checked this. And of course it's non-biased. And this is, just them putting out the facts, right? But now we've gone into this whole other arena where it's wide open. I even saw the other day that they've made something, and they've gotten really good at it, called deep fakes, which essentially they can take and systemize, and they can scan in like a person's persona and the video, and then actually make you look like you are saying something completely different than what you're saying. They could take a politician or a leader of a country or anyone and actually create a piece of fake news that looks almost realistic. And they're getting even better and better at it, until the point where we won't really be able to tell the difference. And so when you have all this stuff, that you're trying to perceive, and you have no idea, how do you use discernment? I mean, where do you draw the line, and what do you believe in, right? What do you know? And it becomes really challenging when we have all of this going on. So this is our current world here. And then the next card that came out was innocence, right? There's a real longing for this. And there's also an energy of everyone proclaiming to be innocent, when probably there's almost everyone has some complicity in everything that's happening. We've all participated in this global culture. We've all participated in the systems and structures, whether we voted for one candidate or we didn't vote at all, or we participated in some way to the degradation of our earth, to the upholding of these systemic structures, which are racist and often sexist and sometimes corrupt. And we're longing right now for this innocence, man. I think this is one of the reasons that there's these nationalist rallies that go on, is because they're just like longing for some kind of illusionary innocence. Like somehow 50 years ago, this is what the world looked like. It really didn't. It probably was very similar to what it is now. We just have more access to all of the information, whereas before it was sort of, hidden underneath. And so all of this unearthing is really longing. Like when you were a child, you didn't worry about all these things. You didn't stress out about it. You didn't have to scroll through social media and think, okay, well, do I believe this person? Do I believe that person? What do I feel about this? Where do I come down? We're just, longing for this innocence. And then everyone on every side is going, I'm innocent. Don't be blaming me, blame that person, and there's just all of this going around. And there's both a longing for that and also a claiming of innocence when we probably really are not. And the card that came out as well as the Guardians. And this reminds me of all of the generations, right? There's all the generations that are standing behind us, whether you believe that these are your ancestors and you inherited your DNA, and there was this one and this one and this one and this one coming forward, and then there's you, or if you believe that you incarnated all of these different times and these different personalities, and you see that they each have their own symbol at the top of their head, which is a different sort of soul mission, a different sort of gifts that come through. And again, you see all these constellations, all these light codes, all of these here's the 4 directions again. You know, it's really talking about the number 4. We're in a number 4 year with the 2020, really trying to take a deep look at our systems and our structures, and where do we need to be going forward, and dismantling some and reorganizing others. And of course, in the United States, we're going to have an election for the presidential race and for a great deal of Congress, and our local elections, which are really vitally important as well, to because that's where the local policing and educational laws and statutes get decided upon. And so, I probably, I'm not saying probably, I really have not paid hardly any attention to my local representatives, what they believe in, what's happening here locally. And what they say is that actually impacts us more than it does on a national level. Certainly we're impacted by national laws and national initiatives, but our local environment is where it actually happens and what happens in your community. And so, what this is for me are these ancestors. And there are things that were passed down from generation to generation that were positive, that were strengths. There are also, you see these symbols at the heart chakra as well. And some of these are the things that we did, whether it was us in these bodies or whether it was our ancestors, and we carry that trauma, the trauma they experienced and the trauma they enacted on others. We carry that forward into this age, and we're here right now with all of these. I mean, I don't know if you can feel it. If you can feel those that have passed on to the other side, but I can feel this very strongly now. There's so many watchers. We're just at such a crucial threshold and crossroads for human civilization that there's so many watchers, whether they're, people believe they're from other planets, people believe that it's all of our ancestor spirits, but there are many multitudes of other beings on other dimensions that are watching, that are waiting to see what avenue we're going to take. We have a huge set of lessons to learn as a global human civilization. We are at a place where we're at a level of consciousness now, and we realize that we can no longer allow ourselves to treat our other fellow human beings as less than. It's not acceptable. It never was acceptable. And now we're saying, no, it's just not acceptable at all, right? It's just not acceptable at all. We just cannot do this anymore. Beautiful, beautiful. So now we're tapping in to the Isis Oracle. And since we had these ancient spirits going all the way back, let's tap in for a moment to ancient Egypt. Let's see what we have here. So the first thing that came up was stay true and be in your power, right? And this is really, for me, the rise of the divine feminine. We've been talking about this for some time, and many other readers talk about this as well. And so what does that actually mean, the rise of the divine feminine? For, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, our entire civilizations, our systems and our structures and our work in the world and all these things have been very masculine, have been very male dominated. And that has brought us into this place where I can be on a Zoom call and I can record this reading and you can tune into it from wherever you are in the world. And there's so many amazing things that come from that masculine energy. But there's also been that lower vibrational side of the masculine, which has enacted wars and power over and just really treated other people in a very humane way. And so now we're talking about the rise of the divine feminine. Now, let me say that there is also a lower vibration for the feminine as well. And this is where we give away our power. And this is where we nag to get what we want. And here's where we criticize. We either criticize ourselves or we criticize others. So there's both the disempowered feminine and the disempowered masculine. And when we have those sides, and everyone has both of those energies within them, then we're coming from this place where we're defensive and we're angry and we're hateful and we're discriminatory and we're uncaring or bitchy or whatever you want to say. And then there's like the rise of the divine masculine and divine feminine, where we're stable and secure and protective and fluid and loving and nurturing. And yet, we're taking care of our own needs. Like you see that she's like, very strong. And she also is someone who's going to hold strong boundaries as well. So this is stay true in your power. And really for me, there's a little line that says, so Osiris and Isis, Lord and Lady of Divine Authority. So what happened was, in the story, as I understand it so far, is that Osiris was killed and dismembered. And Isis loved him so deeply that she fought. She became a warrior to fight and bring his body and his spirit back together so that they could be reconnected. And this is really what that's about. And it isn't about our external connection with divine feminine and divine masculine. It's our internal connection. This is our being and our doing. And if we are getting into this being, right, our power from within, and then our doing is happening from that space, whatever decisions we make are going to be powerful and loving and kind at the same time. And what came up next is the temple of Lapis Lazuli, the goddess of the ancient skies. And I've gotten this one once before. I'm still learning this deck, but it's just an amazing symbolism that we have here. We have the triad, right? And then, the six-pointed star, and some various symbols here as well. Lapis lazuli was always considered the healing stone. It is a stone of healing. And I'll say that we certainly could use sort of an earth-sized version of this right now, right? This is this energy, this deep indigo energy. It is about, re-envisioning and dismantling old structures and re-envisioning them into a sense of where we want to be. The indigos who came here on the planet were great at that. But this is also a healing energy, right? So we want to come in and we want to be fierce and we want to rise up. We want to have a voice. We want to speak. We're going to protest. We're going to vote. We're going to spread and educate and say no when something is not appropriate. And we're going to, enter into that space, but we're going to do it from this space of compassion, of connection, right? The circular energy is unity. It's oneness. So we are not meant to continue to divide, continue to separate and divide. And, I'm not really familiar with this card, but it's really fascinating. This is called the Goddess of 10,000 Names, right? Endless emanations of the priestess energy. So here's the priestess energy. And for me, everyone defines the priestess energy very differently. For me, a priestess is a person who is very skilled at manifestation, right? And this would be a person who had perhaps incarnated on this planet many, many, many lifetimes. You see all these lifetimes, all these memories, right? And can tap in to every single thing that their soul learned powerfully, and to hold that vibration of unity, of optimism, of where we want to go. We've spent a lot of time on our planet fighting against everything we don't want. And there was a benefit to that, right? We want to know what it is that's not working. But when we start to fight for the things that we do want, when we start to move towards that, we start to hold that space, we start to manifest that. This to me is that energy. It's like beautiful, beautiful energy, of having that vision. She's looking straight out and she's bringing in all of these aspects of herself, anything she's ever learned. And she's willing to speak out very strongly about what kind of life that she wants, not only for herself, but for all human beings. Now let's just tap into the mystical shaman oracle for a moment to get any kind of clarification about what's happening during this unearthing process and this rising of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, this healing energy, right, that's coming out. Yes, thank you, Holy Ones, for these messages. Yeah. So this last card that came out is the Sorcerer, right, which would be very much the magician. So we have the priestess and the magician, right? The divine, spiritual, masterful manifestor with the divine or divine masculine, masterful manifester. It's both of them, right? If we have both of these cards together, it's like, look at the power that can come from this. And a sorcerer, you know, a lot of times in literature and common, you know, culture is, you know, something evil, something bad. They wear black, you know, it's all of these. But you see these rainbow colors. This is about the diversity that we have on this planet. This is about bringing in this strong intention for the honoring of that diversity. Look at all of this activation here with the sun energy. This is just moving forward, like just moving forward into the space. The feather is often like cleansing, you know, cleansing and purifying what came before. So the sorcerer energy has a lot of the healing and also the healing of these rifts that we've had. You know, in the Bible, the rainbow is the promise that God made to never destroy the earth through a massive flood, right? Some people say, well, that didn't mean that he, she, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, didn't agree to not destroy the earth in other ways. And I'm like, well, you know, I think that we sort of have that choice now. We've come to a level of consciousness where we have a responsibility to the preservation of our planet and of our species, and we have to honor that responsibility, and we have to step into that responsibility. So the goddess of 10,000 names, the priestess and the sorcerer are just so powerful as they come in together for this. The next card that came out was thunder, but it actually came out in reverse. And this is what I've been feeling since last Friday when we had the eclipse energy, which was that that all of this thunder that was precursor for the storm, you know, thundering voices, protesting, and, you know, all of this happening, it's starting to dissipate now, right? So we built up all of this energy, right? It's like, man, the storm is coming. And it did. It blew through. That storm came like crazy. It came like crazy. And yet we're starting to release now. We're starting to come into our power again. When we get into the thunder place, a lot of times we get into that emotional, reactive, very human, animalistic side of ourselves. And we saw all of that happening. And I felt that way for several days. I felt just so angry and so devastated by the things that I was watching and seeing. And it's not that I didn't know that these things were happening to people. It's just, it was so raw and out there. And then as that passes, what we have to remind ourselves is that we don't want to lose momentum. So we can't stay in that energy forever because it becomes more destructive as time goes on. We have to settle in to more of a committed, concerted, focused energy, you know, really like the sorcerer. The sorcerer is not playing, right? The sorcerer is like, this is what our planet is meant to be. And I'm a rainbow energy, so I love this. And I am one of those sorcerers just holding that space for the honoring of not only the needs of the collective, but the needs of the individual, and the responsibility of the collective and our systems and structures, along with the personal responsibility of the individual. I'm holding that energy, and so many of you out there I know are holding this energy right now. But we need the thunder to kind of pass, so that we can start to come around the table and begin to have dialogue, begin to speak, begin to be heard, and also listen to others. And when everyone's yelling and everyone's fighting and everyone's pointing fingers, of course, what it is a message. It's a massive message that something is out of sync and something is wrong and that we need to address it. But then we need to come down and enter more into, you know, the logical mind and get a little bit out of the belly. We don't want to lose that fire in our belly. We absolutely don't want to lose that. We need to maintain this momentum. But most people can't sustain that kind of anger and rage and intensity in our nervous systems. We just can't sustain that for a long period of time. We're not intended to, right? We're not built that way. What came out next was soul retrieval, right? And this came out in reverse. So we haven't even reached this stage yet. You know, soul retrieval in the shamanic tradition is when we've experienced a trauma, there is a part of ourselves or multiple parts of ourselves that have kind of gone missing, that have broken off, have separated from the rest of the soul. And the soul is our divine spark that came and incarnated into this physical vessel. And then when that has disconnected, um, sometimes we don't even realize it's disconnected. Sometimes we had to disconnect and disassociate in order to get through the traumatic thing that happened to us, whether that was when we were a child or as an adult, or we went into a situation of war, or we live in a neighborhood, or your skin color is such that you feel unsafe all the time. And so this soul retrieval, it came out that it's like, okay, there's the energy here for this, but we haven't reached this level yet where we can actually start to do that. And this is what the future holds, right? The future holds this ability to start pulling all of those pieces anywhere where the energy has been scattered for each individual person, pulling that back together and making yourself whole again. And I will say that between COVID-19, our economic system, and then all of the tumultuousness of the breaking open of systemic racism and everything that's happening right now, the protesting and all the disrest, the changes in political structures, everything that's going on. I would say there's a low level to a moderate high level, depending on who you are, of PTSD with almost everyone. Like, what happens when your entire civilization has post-traumatic stress? Like, I wrote about this the other day. We don't even have post-traumatic stress. We just have we have traumatic stress. Like, we're in the middle of this, right? And what is it doing to our bodies? So I've been doing a lot of work with my body, a lot of hydration, a lot of stretching. I've been going to the chiropractor, doing healing work, taking a lot of time off, to be quite honest, of working, just working a few hours a day as I can, just in order to manage this, right? And at some point, like, collectively, we'll need to do this. And we're in this process of identifying which parts of our collective soul, our soul family, have gone missing. Where have we broken them apart by the things that we've made a priority and what we've made important, and the attitudes and the beliefs that we've held? But this is a process. This is a long process, my friends. And we're not even there yet, but the energy is actually coming out. And I wanted to call on the Dreams of Gaia, one of my favorite decks. There it is right here. And I just wanted to get any final messages that we need to know about this energy of secrecy, all of the past ancestor guardians who are coming close to us, trying to make sense of all of the information and perceptions that we have right now, our desire for innocence, and then the beautiful energy that okay, come on back. The beautiful energy that the sorcerer and the priestess brought in. Okay, so we have, intuition, right? There's intuition. This web that we're weaving now, a new web. One of the webs that I'm weaving is bringing together in an online forum the planetary grid of lightworkers and empaths and mystics, or as many would like to join us. And basically, we are weaving this together. We are coming in, sharing, learning about ourselves, mastering our gifts, connecting with each other, uplifting and supporting each other. And you see that she's starting to reveal herself here. This is a very quiet card, going within, really listening, deciding what it is that you need to connect with and what it is you don't, what messages are meant for you, what part of this, what role do you play and what role do you not play, because you can't do everything. This is why we have, billions of people on our planet. Everyone is here for a reason, and you are not meant to change systemic racism by yourself, 100% by yourself, or any other aspect of the challenges that we're facing. You can do your piece, and other people can do their piece, and you can uplift them. And then the more that you're out there in the world, and the more that you're being an ally and you're supporting, the more self-care that you need, right? The more self-care that you need. And the perception card came out twice. So this is really about cutting through. When you see something on social media and you know, it's really about, you see here, she has the mask, right? So this is about taking off the mask, being willing to uncover our head, take off the mask, and really look at things, you know, really watch, really read, and do that to the extent that you can handle it. You're not meant to martyr yourself. You're not meant to be completely emotionally spent and overcome because you can't handle anything. Like, in order to be effective, you have to do that self-care, and you have to do more of that self-care. But the perception card, you know, coming out is really about, you know, be careful and look at what is out there, and look at what you're perceiving, and look at what you're taking in. And this is the card that, the two cards that came out this morning. So they're right here. I'll share them with you as well. I did, in one of my online classes, I did some central nervous system work with a group of empaths, right? And this was all about really tapping in to your central nervous system and inviting it to stand down. Because right now, our defense mechanism would tell us, I need to put a wall up. I need to put a bubble. I need to put some golden light. I need some damn thing to help me from not feeling, because I perceive every freaking thing. I perceive everything, right? And it feels dark. And I really don't want to take the mask off, because, man, that's going to hurt. And what we're saying is, do what you can. Take care of you. Do a lot of work with your nervous system right now. Whether that's the purple ray, whether that's the white ray of light, cleansing, purifying, being in your own energy. It's very, very important. And I love this card. She's absolutely beautiful. Such a gorgeous elder, Nana Baluku. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but she rests to create. So sometimes we think we need to push forward. And we've had a lot of that very intense, angry, masculine energy. And now it's time for us to come into this place. This is serious, serious manifestation. It is just getting quiet, holding your own energetic power, activating your heart, activating your intentions, tapping in, and just vibrating out. Right? And I know that this is taught by a lot of spiritual teachers. And some people say, well, this is spiritual bypassing, that I'm not actually doing and taking an action. I'm just suggesting that every day you spend some time in this energy, in addition to actually taking physical action in the 3D world. This energy, it feeds you, right? You see the activation here in her throat, and then from her heart to her throat, she is completely open. And when she speaks, it is wise, because she's tapped into all of this. Look at this mandala, you know, of energy here. So we need to be in this place. And so there's a lot going on. There's all this stuff being unearthed. And we really need to perceive what is for me. How much can I watch? When do I need to take a break? Today I went and I walked in the forest for a couple of hours. It was beautiful. I needed it. I just sat back on a park bench, and actually the sunlight coming through the trees sort of reminded me of this. It had all these sparkles, and I needed that. I needed to come back into innocence a little bit, right? Because we get into this world and we're like deep in this world, and we can easily lose our power. We can lose that innocence. You know, we can feel like I'm just drowning in everything that's going on. And we're no good to anyone when we do that. So I hope this reading was really helpful for you. We are on the path. We are on the path. The thunder is starting to dissipate. The soul retrieval card came up just as a marker for the deep work that needs to be done individually and as a collective. We have tools, right? We have tools. We can get back into our innocence. We can put our feet on the earth. We can do some healing work and some light work activation in our nervous system. We can be working on the balancing of the masculine and the feminine, the divine masculine and feminine, the uplifted energy vibration of these two, which are powerful manifestors. We can rest in order to create. All of these things are available to us. So I invite you, my friends, to stay true in your power. Hang in there. We are at an exciting time. It is a very difficult time emotionally and energetically, but we are in an exciting time. We are just moving into this new era of consciousness. Hold that vibration. Hold that. That's why you came here, to be this container. I'm holding it. You're holding it. We are all in this grid, weaving this grid together. And it's a new day and a new era. And we're ready. We're ready. You see it all moving and shifting and changing, and then it's going to flow into a new path. And it's time. It's time. So namaste, my friends. I look forward to connecting with you. Please like and subscribe if you like this video and want to see more. And I look forward to seeing you inside the 1 Million Empaths community if you feel so called to join us. Blessing.